Hey there, I am Caleb Bedillion. I am the local government and politics reporter here at the Daily Journal. I am joined today by two candidates for public office. I have the incumbent Ward 5 office holder on the city council. That's Buddy Palmer, running as a Republican for re-election. I have his Democratic challenger, Hannah Maharrey, trying to get onto the city council. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of their visions for the city, and so let's get started. I want to start with the challenger here. Hannah, I want to ask you, what do you think are the biggest needs facing Ward 5 right now?
Ward 5, in my opinion, there are three things that I would like to focus my time on if I'm elected to city council, if I have that honor, is on housing, education, and employment. Currently, I work with a homelessness project, and I've noticed that housing in Tupelo, the greater Tupelo area, has been an issue. I'd like to look for ways to help get families into homes and to make their homes sustainable. And that's what I'm really interested in, is housing, education, and employment.
All right, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and let you get in on this. Tell me, similar question, if you're elected, what will be your priorities for this second term?
Absolutely. My priorities will be streets. You know, we've done a lot of things in 4 years that a lot of people won't recognize the results until a few years from now. One example would be the West Jackson project and some of the properties we bought. But the thing that impacts everyone, particularly in Ward 5 and the annexed area, are streets. And so my priority will be to somehow double up on streets and get it to a point that our public works can take care of this more readily.
You want to put a little bit more money, and this is actually due to be talked about by the city council. You want to put a little bit more money into the street paving program.
Absolutely. You know, we're spending about $1 million a year on streets. We've got about 300 and something miles of streets. Everybody has a problem with a street somewhere where they live. We've got a great major thoroughfare program, and we've got monies coming in to take care of that. I would like to see us put at least $4 million or $5 million in the next 4 years to take care of some of the, what we call the rated 1 and 2 streets, which are the worst streets. Not only in Ward 5, where we have plenty, annexed area where we have plenty, but also every ward in Tupelo.
Okay. Something I wanted to talk about, and you already brought it up, so that works, and that's housing. Mm-hmm. That's something, during this election cycle, I've had a lot of the candidates tell me they think housing is one of the major needs in the city of Tupelo right now. Over the last term, and even the prior administration, we've seen the city put a lot of public tax dollars into revitalization and anti-blight efforts. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit on your perspective. Is that a good use of tax dollars? Do you want to see those efforts continue?
I definitely do think it's a good use of tax dollars, just because blight does bring down your entire neighborhood, your entire community's property value. So people who do want to invest in the neighborhood, if there's blight on their street, sometimes can deter them from that. The use of the property once the city buys them, that is another question. Like, do we then put it into mixed income housing? Do we do single family housing, multifamily housing? That's a bigger question for what that community actually needs.
Right. Now tell me, a lot of the focus on the housing has been the need for affordable middle-income housing. Mm-hmm. But as you've mentioned, you work with the homeless population. Tell me, what's your evaluation of where the city is for low-income housing?
I would definitely say we have two housing authorities in the general Lee County area. That's Tupelo Housing Authority, and then we have Tennessee Valley Regional Housing Authority. They both do a great job. And finding low-income families housing that is good quality. We also have Section 8 housing, which is they receive vouchers from the federal government and from the state government to house income families. One of my things I would like to focus on, one of the things I would be interested in looking at as a city councilor, is those Section 8 or low-income housing that receive subsidies. And are they doing the job that they're supposed to do when they're accepting money from the state and the federal government to house lower-income families?
All right, sounds good. I want to get you in on this housing topic. There's been a lot of money put into, as I said, revitalization, anti-blight. Some of it you voted for. One of the most recent proposals you did not vote for. Tell me, moving forward, what your perspective is on how tax dollars ought to be used related to that issue.
When I came into office, there were had already passed the West Jackson project, and the jury's still out on that. I hope it does work. I am for repairing all blighted areas and certainly have places for people to live and that can afford it. But we just spent $350,000 on 2 pieces of property that's somewhat blighted without a plan what we're going to do with it. Now, I think if you look at me as a businessman, I cannot do that as a businessman. I think the city is going to have to take a real hard look at what properties we're buying. If you buy it without a plan, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I think we need a comprehensive plan to, if we're going to spend our taxpayers, citizens' money, we need to have a plan that we can explain to them that this year we're going to so and so and so and so, and this is not only we're going to buy it, but this is what we're going to do with it.
I completely agree with that. You have to have a plan of action before you implement any public program, because you do not want to waste your taxpayers' money, nor do you want to meet a need that's not really there.
Right. Well, from housing, I want to move to transportation. Ongoing discussions in the city about public transit. I want you to tell me, Mr. Palmer, your perspective on that, and are there any proposals on the table that you think are feasible right now?
Well, when I first got into office, the first meeting I had was public transportation. Initially, I see a need. I have a lot of my friends who are handicapped, particularly blind people, and they've expressed needs. They have many things now that's kind of working for them with Climb Up. They also have vouchers from MDOT so that they can use that voucher to go anywhere they want to. At this point, and during the things that happened during this last administration with the shooting and with the tornado, et cetera, the emphasis hadn't been so much on public transportation, but it is picking up now, and I'm encouraged with that. What I have to look at is how I can explain this, how it will work, and number 2 is I think it needs to be done on a trial basis, because a lot of programs are great, but we'll have to look and see if the city can afford it. And I think at this point in time, I'm very excited about it. I'm encouraged for public transportation.
So still at the discussion stage, no
It's
firm.
for me, it's still at the discussion stage. But basically, some of the council they've been here a lot longer than me. They've gone through that. I'm still looking at information. I have to have a lot of information before I can make that decision. But there's a lot of work going on with that, and a lot of it sounds very encouraging.
All right, I want to get you in on public transit. Any feasible ways you think to bring public transit to the city of Tupelo?
I definitely do think it's feasible. It's just you have to look at whether you want to be, do you want to be a city-run program or do you want to be privatized? Because each of those have their own positive and negatives. And so you just have to see what works well for Tupelo. And I do think there's definitely a need, just because of my own experience, with low-income families, with homeless people, it's very easy to tell people, oh, go get a job, go get your GED. But if they don't have a car, don't have reliable transportation, how are they going to get there? And so I just see a need for basic transportation to get people to and from jobs, to and from school, that kind of thing. And especially like Mr. Palmer said, we do have people who are blind and handicapped that do not have reliable transportation right now. And if we can make it low cost and affordable, we can get people out of their cars, reduce our carbon footprint as the city of Tupelo as a whole. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested in that as well.
Yeah. You've talked quite a bit about your work at where you currently are with helping the homeless population or those that are at risk of homelessness. Tell me, the city has recently entered into a 6-month trial basis contract with an organization based out of Jackson, Mississippi United, to end homelessness. Tell me, are you optimistic? Is that looking like a good partnership?
I think it's a wonderful partnership. I currently already work with Mute in some capacity. Mute, or Mississippi United to End Homelessness, is a solution for people who are immediately homeless. So they're living on the street, they're living under a bridge, living in a tent, or they're living in an emergency shelter. And Mute answers 2 questions for the city of Tupelo. First of all, who do you call when you encounter a homeless person? Currently, you would call the police, or you'd call Mr. Buddy or somebody on the council. And that's a waste of taxpayers' money, because being homeless is not a crime. It's just a situation. It's a lifestyle or a life situation. And so instead of calling and wasting the police's time, the police department's time, or the city's time, Mute answers the question, who do you call? Because then they can do an assessment, which is the most crucial thing for someone who is homeless. Because it's very easy to treat the symptoms of homelessness. Like, I can give you a meal, or I can give you a change of clothes. but I still don't understand why you're homeless. And so they do an in-depth assessment that will then answer the question, why is this person experiencing homelessness?
All right. I want to ask you, Mr. Palmer, certain wards, and this has been another ongoing issue, is the homeless population, more so in the downtown area perhaps than other wards. But are you optimistic that this contract the city has with MU, which is going to cost a bit of money, is that a potential long-term partnership?
Well, yes, and yeah, I am very excited about that. As an all-America city, that's something we should do. We should do this. I'm not sure that, like Miss Hannah said, I mean, you have expertise. She's working at the church and all that, but Mute is I guess it's a kind of a professional. They know what they're doing. You have homeless people. You have some that have mental problems. You have some that have abuse problems, and you have some that simply are not going to do anything but be homeless. You need the expertise on how to handle those people, and I think this is a good opportunity for Tupelo to at least try this. Partner with churches, other organizations. This may not be just something that the city is going to totally pay for, but I think it's going to be a partnership, and I think it's the very best step that we could take. And I'm really proud of that.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. Take about a minute and kind of explain some of your qualifications for office and why voters ought to put you onto the city council.
Okay, that's difficult. I could go on forever. No, I just am a choice or new option for someone who wants an option. I am a Democrat. That's my personal politics, but if elected, I would be a representative of everybody. I'd want to represent our ward well and take into consideration with my public administration background about public programs, about public policy, how to best meet the needs of Ward 5 and to be the best representative of Ward 5 I can. I have the experience, I have the education, I have, cultural knowledge, everything that I would think would make a good representative of Ward 5. And if given a chance, I would work hard. I'm a very passionate, very dedicated person, and I'd like to prove that to the citizens of Ward 5.
All right, sounds good. Now let's get you to describe why voters ought to reelect you for a second term.
Well, number one, I've been there and done that. I've been in East Tupelo, East Heights, Presley Heights for 50 plus years. My father decided and was sold on East Tupelo at that time to put a business in. I went to school not to go into the grocery business after I got out. I said, this is my place. So I believed in East Tupelo, East Heights at that point in time. Now I also have two sons that swore they'd never do it, but they love East Heights. I'm very passionate about East Heights. I'm a businessman. I know what 2 plus 2 has always got to equal 4. It cannot equal 6 like it does in Washington. So I'm very fiscally responsible. I've coached Little League football at Lawhorn School for 10 years. By the way, we won 8 championships, so I'm just, I told someone the other day, I live and breathe East Tupelo, Presley Heights, Ward 5. And now, as a member of the Annex community, I think it's just a solid thing for me to represent the Annex people and Ward 5. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Don't forget the general election is on June 6th. If you live in Ward 5, this is the race you're going to have. Select between one of these two candidates. Continue to read the Daily Journal in print every day and online at djournal.com for more election coverage. Thanks for watching.